Hello everyone, I'm Sharpedo43 once again, bringing you all week 1 of the GLA. My first opponent for this week is going to be Phoenix N, who is from the UBA, which stands for Uber Battle Association if I recall. But yeah, so yeah, this is the teams that we have right now. But before anything, let me just show you like basically an entire I guess an overview of this draft, both of our drafts anyway. As you can see, he has a Mega Blastoise, a Victini, Kyurem, Tangrowth, Lolima, Crobat, Heracross, Comfey, and Seismitoad. One of the things I'm afraid of from this guy's team is basically the Mega Blastoise, the Victini, and the Kyurem. I think mons like Lolima, Tangrowth, and Heracross can all be managed with Skarmory, at least depending on the sets, honestly. But I think I can handle a lot of that. But the biggest threats for me are basically the Kyurem, the Mega Blastoise, and the Victini, because those things are real hard hitters. But yeah, with my draft, I mean, it can, you know, like it can do a lot of stuff basically. Particularly my Zygarde and Mega Sharpedo, because they both can, kind of just punch holes in this guy's team, honestly. And if he plays a passive game, he could be basically taking a lot of hits basically, because Mega Sharpedo and Zygarde are kind of both like potential wall breakers per se, I think. Well, at least on Mega Sharpedo's end. I don't know, not so sure about Zygarde. But the set that I have for the Zygarde is actually, at least from the looks of it, is going to be able to put in a lot of work if put in the right situations. Obviously, I have to be wary of the Tangrowth, which is, I think, the only switch into 1000 arrows. Because yeah, this Zygarde is actually a bandit set, so I'm actually, basically the goal is just to hit hard with 1000 arrows as much as possible. He does have a couple resistances, obviously, but I think with mons like Heracross, even then, with bandit 1000 arrows, I can do a lot of damage. So yeah, as always, we're going to be trying to win these matches. The goal for the entirety of this season is basically that I just, you know, do my best to, you know, perform well in this league. So, but remember that at the end of the day, even if I win any matches in this league, remember that I may not have like the win for the week basically, or any of the other weeks that follow, because remember that, well, I can win my matches, the other 6 participants that are participating in this week with me have to win at least by a majority basically. So for example, if I win right now and we're 7 people for, you know, every week basically, like 7 participants from a league have to go up against another 7. So at least 3 more people need to win if I win this match right now. 3 more people need to win, so that way we actually get the full-fledged win for the week. So yeah, and we have to kind of keep that going throughout the entire season basically. So yeah, I may win this, but if my, you know, my compadres are not like unfortunate, we might still lose basically, technically, just by the standards of this league basically. Which is fine, honestly. Like I said before, I'm just doing this league for fun anyway, but I am trying to do my best to just, you know, serve Scoots well, since that's kind of the main purpose of this league, or at least my performance in this league. So yeah, but anyways, with all that said, let's get into the match. Let me just click play here, because obviously, if not, we're gonna have issues. So he's gonna lead off with a Victini. I lead off with a Electros. Now, I honestly didn't know how I felt about this lead, honestly. I think at the time I actually felt this was maybe a bad lead, because, you know, Victinis can be sometimes, you know, banded and have V-Create. But regardless, if you look at my draft, not a whole lot takes V-Create from a Victini very well anyway, so I figured it kind of didn't matter either way, honestly. So what I decided to do here was just go for the knockoff. Typically, this would be a scary move if and only if Z moves were a thing, but I forgot to mention this in the draft review video. But you know, since Gen 8 mons are in this format, no Dynamaxing, no G Maxing, and no Z moves are allowed in this league. Only Mega Evolution. So it's kind of a nice like, you know, it's kind of a nice way of designing the format basically, because it's kind of like a throwback to the days of Generation 6, where only Mega Evolution was like the only thing that was kind of deemed centralizing. But now we have shit like freaking Z moves and Dynamaxing and G maxing all over the place, and you know that kind of makes the game like go off the rails basically. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have to worry about any Z moves on this Victini, because Z moves on Victini would be even like more scarier since knockoff wouldn't do anything honestly. But yeah, so I decided to just go for the knockoff right here to see what item this thing was carrying, whether it was choice or not. It would give me an idea of whether or not I should even bother getting a speed boost with Mega Sharpedo. Because if you look at the rest of his team, Mega Sharpedo can just outspeed all of this, assuming none of these mons are scarfed basically. But yeah, so here we go, knockoff. He's gonna actually hard switch into Tangrowth, which I actually wasn't expecting. I thought he would actually try to go for a very powerful fire move, whether it be V-Crate or even Blue Flare, jeez him. But yeah, he just went into Tangrowth nonetheless, and I just went for knockoff, which knocks off this guy's leftovers, as you can see. Which is actually good to know, because that means this thing is not a Soul Vest, which means I can actually just follow up with a Flamethrower if I wanted to, which I do. I thought he was actually going to switch out, but thankfully he didn't, so he takes a lot of damage as a result. And he actually goes for Toxic right here, which actually misses, which is actually good for me. Now here I just went for Volt Switch because he doesn't actually have a Volt Switch immunity, so here I just basically go for Volt Switch for free. I thought he would try to switch this out and try to preserve it and try to see if he can get some Regenerator back, but from the looks of it, that's not what he goes for, so that's actually fine with me, honestly. We take those. So here, Volt Switch. Now I have to show what I'm gonna send out, which is actually good for him, I guess. And I think maybe that's why he didn't actually switch it out. He probably wanted to see what I'd go into first. So I went into Milotic and he went into Comfey. I actually went to Toxic just to see if he can actually like if he wasn't actually gonna carry Substitute or anything like that. But yeah, unfortunately for me, he actually did carry Substitute. So as a result, this Toxic was probably for naught. Probably should have went for Skull to scout the Substitute, but I didn't actually end up doing that, so as a result I'm forced to switch out. I decided to go into Skarmory right here. He's actually going to go for the Leech Seed, so that's actually kind of annoying because I don't want my Skarmory to get withered down by this Comfey. However, what I'm going to do right here now is just set up Stealth Rocks while he goes for Giga Drains. I'm surprised he didn't go for Calm Minds or anything like that, but yeah, so Leech Seed, and I think here's where I decided to Whirlwind, honestly. I think I phase him into Heracross, which is good because this is going to take rocks damage. Although I have to switch out because I don't want to be giving him any Leech Seeds either, honestly. So I went into Amoonguss, just kind of fearing the close combat as well, honestly. But here I decided to actually hard switch into Zygarde because I actually don't know why I hard switched into Zygarde. Maybe, just maybe because he went for Rock Slide and I thought he would maybe just try to go for it again because... Or if he would try to switch it up for Mega Horn. I was going to go for Outrage here if he actually ended up switching up his move to like Mega Horn, but he actually just kept going for Rock Slide. So here, I thought he was going to switch out fearing the Outrage, honestly. But he actually just stays in and goes for Rock Slides. So I just go for 1,000 arrows here, and as you can see, the damage is actually pretty good, despite it resisting basically. Thanks to the fact that it's banded, obviously. So I decided to go for another 1,000 arrows, kind of just because I thought he would switch out now, honestly. But he actually didn't. It's because I figured if this thing resists, he wouldn't want to just leave this in here, would he? And he's probably choice because he actually, you know, he kept going for Rock Slide, which, you know, Zygarde resists. What's the point of going for Rock Slide? So he had to have been choiced, obviously. But maybe the reason why he didn't switch out was probably because he figured this Zygarde would be banded, honestly. So maybe that's why. At the time, I actually questioned his play here, honestly, of leaving Heracross with Rock Slide. Maybe if he was actually going to leave his Heracross to just attack, he probably should have went for Mega Horn or Close Combat, unless he didn't have it, I don't know. But yeah, so here we're just going to switch out into Skarmory, seeing as he doesn't want to switch out. I just want to go for Roost if I can. He's going to keep going for Rock Slides. He actually does get a flinch right here, but that's no big deal. Since I do plan on losing the Skarmory if I end up losing it anyway, since I'm actually not even close to a deficit yet. So here I'm just going to get the Roost off, since thankfully I didn't flinch. And I think he's just going to stay in and go for another one. I thought he would switch into Victini here, honestly. What I was actually going to do was take a Fire move and just phase him out again so he can take more rocks damage. But he just stayed in again, and I just went for Roost again. So here, I think I now go for the Whirlwind. He actually switches out, and I just phase him into Comfey again, which is, I guess it's alright, honestly. I hard switch into Amoonguss nonetheless because, I don't know. Oh, probably because I wanted to avoid that Leech Seed, sure. And he didn't show that he had Calm Mind yet, so I felt like I was probably safe to just go for a Sludge Bomb here. However, he's actually going to just switch into Heracross, basically to sack it, since he knows it's kind of gone now that the rocks are here, basically. He's now going to go into Victini, which is a free switch in for him because he let his Heracross go down. This forces me to switch out into my Milotic here. which he's actually going to go for Glaciate. I honestly don't know why he would go for that, honestly. I honestly thought he would go for either a fire move or even a psychic move, honestly. I think psychic was more reasonable just because if I switch in Skarmory, he can just follow up with a fire move if he's not choiced, honestly. Yeah, but he revealed the Glaciate, which is good to know because that means now I know better not to send in Zygarde against this thing. So yeah. Now here I do I do take a lot of leftovers recovery. So I'm basically back at full HP, which means that if he has like an electrical move like Thunderbolt, I should be able to take it well, honestly. And he actually does have it, and I actually take it a lot better than I thought, honestly, which is kind of crazy. So here what I'm going to do now is just go for Toxic. I think I predicted him to switch back into Comfey, honestly. Seeing as how I switched it out every time he sent it in, I was kind of hoping maybe he'd think that I can't do anything to the Comfey. But maybe he figured that I'd have Toxic and try to predict that as well, honestly. I don't know. But yeah, I got the Toxic on this Victini, which I guess is fine, honestly. Maybe this thing could be a setup set of sorts, honestly. I don't know. But yeah. I don't remember if I switch out here. I don't think I do. Oh, okay, no. He goes into Blastoise and I go for the Recover here because I was fearing another Thunderbolt. But because he went into Blastoise right here, I decided to hard switch in the Electros because I could take any water move from this thing if it's Mega. I could take one move at least, and then another one, and then actually hit it with an attack at the very least. However, he actually does go for the Shell Smash here, which I actually didn't even know this thing could get, honestly. It's because I rarely use Blastoise. I don't even think I've ever used Blastoise in a draft league ever, honestly, or even in a Wi-Fi battle for that matter. Jason, what the hell? But yeah, so here, yeah, I was actually shocked at the Shell Smash, and I was actually kind of wondering if now this thing is actually going to be able to take me out with a Waterfall if he actually has that. Like, I wasn't sure if this thing would be physical or special, honestly. Thankfully for me though, he is actually a special variant with this Mega Blastoise, and he's actually just going to go for the Water Pulse, which I honestly thought at +2 with the stab and the boost from Mega Launcher, I thought this would actually destroy this Electros, but thankfully for me it actually did not. So as a result, I was just able to Volt Switch it, and because of the defense drops, this thing goes down like nothing, which is really good for me. If I was not able to KO this thing, this might have been the whole game. Although I think I did have E-Speed, so even if this thing survived, I would have been able to go for E-Speed with the Zygarde. But yeah, this was actually scary because I honestly thought this might have been the whole game, honestly, depending on what else he had on his team, or on this set basically for Blastoise. But yeah, crisis averted with this Blastoise though, which is actually good for me. Now here I'm just going to send out Zygarde, and this is kind of where the game kind of ends, because here I'm just going to go for 1,000 arrows. He brings in this Comfey and takes a lot of damage. He tried going for Substitute, predicting me to switch out, but I actually don't, and I just proceed to keep going for another 1,000 arrows. Here I think I can definitely take a Draining Kiss. As you can see, I actually take it well despite the crit, so I was safe no matter what in going for another one. Takes out this annoying Comfey. He goes in the Muck. I honestly thought he would go into Victini first to see if he can maybe scare me away, so that way I can actually switch out and, you know, prevent more destruction. But he goes in the Muck instead, and I just go for 1,000 arrows. It does take him out because, again, nothing on his team appreciates Banded Zygarde, honestly. Now this Victini, I thought he was just going to simply finish me off, and then that's when I was actually going to go for the final KO with Mega Sharpedo. Because even if he goes for Substitute, he is Toxic, so if he takes out my Sharpedo, he's just going to go down to Poison, and I think I just have to send in my Lodic and just recover spam until he goes down to Poison. Unless I can get him with a Skull before, you know, just to not, like, recover spam, you know, during Toxicking, because that's kind of scummy, you know. But thankfully for me, for some reason, I actually was able to outspeed this Victini and just go for 1,000 arrows and basically win the match. Surprisingly 6-0. I thought that we were actually gonna be very, very close. Although that Blastoise, if it actually got away with destroying a lot of my team, that could have been troublesome. We might have even lost, honestly. So this was probably more or less like a do or die type of match, where I either have to sweep or get swept, basically. And I ended up sweeping with Zygarde, surprisingly enough, even though this thing didn't even set up a single Dragon Dance. How do you like them apples? But yeah, that's gonna be week 1 of the GLA. We at least gave a good first impression, actually, in winning this first match, honestly. Because, I mean, I am a little nervous of doing matches on Showdown because the functions are just a little bit different than what they are on Wi-Fi. I mean, not too nervous though, because remember that at the end of the day it's Showdown. Like, I don't really care too much about losing matches in Showdown, but it's just more so for, you know, like trying to, you know, I guess in a way play Scoots. Like, I don't think he would mind if I lost all these matches, honestly. Just the fact that I, you know, took part in this should like be enough for him to feel like, you know, satisfied. But you know, I kind of, when I know somebody's feeling good about something, I kind of want to, like, you know, make them feel better, kind of a thing. You know, I don't know how to explain it, but you know, it's something like that. But yeah, anyway, so good thing we won the first week. We're gonna see if we can try to win the remaining 5 weeks that we have for this league, and you know, from then call it a day basically. But yeah, anyways, with all that said, thank you all for watching once again. Take it easy. Have yourselves a damn good one.